Hi, welcome to Long Lost Friends. I'm Elizabeth Eve King.
And I'm Andrea Goyan.
Today, we are really excited to have Jason Sizemore joining us. Jason is the publisher and multi-Hugo Award nominated editor of Apex magazines and Apex books, and he also writes an occasional short story or two. Welcome, Jason.
Yes,
Hey,
welcome, Jason. We're
thank
so
you for
happy to
having
have
me.
you. We always love to see people's pets because we're huge animal lovers. So what do you have to share with us?
Okay, so um, I have a orange tabby named Pumpkin. He sometimes likes to make appearances when I'm on video conferencing. He's unfortunately decided to take a nap right now. You know, it's hard work being an orange tabby. So the best I can do is offer up a photo of Pumpkin, who is fairly well known in Apex circles. Don't know if y'all can see him
Yeah.
really well.
Can you
Hold
lift
it
it up? Lift it up higher. Lift your phone up higher and tilt it a little bit so we can get a little. Oh, it's hard to see him.
Yeah, it's hard to see him.
Something.
He looks like a little orange.
I see orange ears.
Orange ears.
I love orange tabbies. They're one of my
Yeah,
favorites. They're so
the
good.
best.
Yeah,
So friendly.
he's sitting on a butcher block table, so he may be kind of blending in a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's hope that he makes an appearance.
Yeah, maybe he'll pop in.
Does he like your fish tanks?
Yeah, also I have a 20-gallon tank back here with two little go fish who are best friends. They follow each other all day and they play with one another. They're still very young, so they're kind of hard to see as they're only about an inch or so long.
I saw some. Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah.
Or one of them.
The hope is they'll grow, 4 inches, 5 inches. They'll get a lot larger, and that way, anytime I'm on camera and I'm being boring, people will have something to focus on while I'm putting them to sleep. So built-in entertainment, backup entertainment, I should say.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. So you are an award-winning editor, have been for quite a while. I'm curious, what makes a good story, if you can say that, and what are you looking for, and are they the same thing always?
What makes a good story? Well, that varies really by publication and anthology. Now, if you were submitting to Apex magazine, so what we're looking for are stories that like to interrogate various social problems. But we also require, our stories to be interesting and entertaining and have a plot that is that moves along and entertains the reader. So, we're not just looking to preach at you or anything. Actually, if we feel the story is preachy, we won't publish it. A good example is the story that we published on our relaunch, issue 21, the very first one. It's this really good piece about an alcoholic on a Mount Mars colony. He is Palestinian, and Israel happens to run this colony on Mars. So there's lots of, real world implications in the story, but also there's heartbreak and some action. And so if you can come up with the work that says something while also entertaining us, and then, those are what the stories we'd like to see.
And are you you're across the board with speculative fiction, right? Any element of that's speculative?
Yeah, we do horror, as long as the horror is speculative in nature. So we don't want a story that has like a axe murderer, because those actually exist, unfortunately. But like an alien that goes on a killing spree, or some kind of scary thing to do with an alien, well, sign us up.
And just one other quick thing about your actual submission. Do you do flash and short stories? You do, don't you?
We
Both?
do. We recently actually split those submission pools out. We hired a dedicated Flash editor, Rebecca Treasure. She's been with us a couple of years, and just recently was promoted to be the Flash editor. And we also have a general submissions pool.
Very cool.
Now, I'm wondering, because you read so many stories, do you notice that you get similar, not plagiarism at all, I'm not talking, just similar plot lines because of the zeitgeist? Like there's so much, for instance, with chatbot now, or alien intelligences, or mechanical intelligences. Do you find that happens where it's like, wow, everybody's writing about this? For good or
yeah,
bad?
certainly. The zeitgeist really does drive a good portion of the submissions that we receive. There for a long time, we received just a great number of apocalyptic pieces that had to do with a virus that wipes out the earth. So we also have been getting a lot of like terrorist kind of work, I think due to the increase in mass shootings in the country. And obviously we're very interested in reading those stories, but we try to limit ourselves in terms of how many of a specific type of story do we want to publish. We didn't want to publish a whole lot of like COVID stories because people were kind of getting tired of COVID. It was constantly in the news, and everyone always, we always knew someone who had it, and it was causing a lot of stress. So we ended up only publishing one COVID related story in our first year back. I think we've probably done one or two since. But the zeitgeist fiction, you gotta kind of have to be careful with that, especially if something has been in the zeitgeist for a while. People will start to grow impatient with it, tired of it, so to speak.
Elizabeth and I were talking a little bit ahead of meeting with you, and we wondered how many first readers you have. How hard? What does it take to get to your desk? How many people read it?
To get to the editor-in-chief's desk, so we have 15 slush readers, and every story has to be approved by at least 2 slush readers. Anytime a slush reader puts an X by story, most of the time we go ahead and reject it. Occasionally the slush reader will put an X and be like, well, there were parts of the story that maybe I, for various cultural reasons or whatever, just don't get. Can I get a second opinion? So after those 2, it goes to a managing editor, who then filters those, and then it comes to the editor-in-chief.
And you said something that triggered something for me in that. How do you get a lot of international or translated stories?
We don't, but we have been, okay, we do get a lot of international stories. Lots from Africa these days, and the Mediterranean and Middle East and Asia. So basically worldwide, yeah. Translated work, we used to never really receive any, but that has been on the rise in the last couple years as other publications in the field have made it a focus to publish translated works. So I think there's just more translated works circulating out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now, we have talked in the past, and everybody else has, about the chat bots. Do you have any feelings about that? And
Oh, chat, like GPT, and
yeah,
I saw a news headline that Google has their own now. I am I'm a little bit concerned, but at the same time, I'm not terribly stressed about it. I have seen some of the work that the Chat GPT can produce, and it's eye-popping just how good that the program can make certain things. My kids, for example, was watching a Twitch stream last weekend or weekend before last that was AI Seinfeld.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, and it mostly played off like a mediocre episode of Seinfeld that happened just in their apartment, in Jerry's apartment. It ended up getting shut down due to some transphobic jokes that the Chat GPT scripted. That I know that the Chat GPT developers have promised to look into filtering that kind of language out. So,
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other question on that, Elizabeth? Because I was going to bring up something different if you.
Okay, no, I was just, that's a really interesting thing, though, a chat bot that is racist or sexist or something.
Yeah. I guess if you're
I
putting a ton of
actually-
material, in, you're bound to get some crossover into realms you may not be interested in.
But that's
where the
kinda
human
interesting.
will come in.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, though. What was it? I was talking about sensitivity readers, and I was thinking, a sensitivity reader with a wicked sense of humor could really mess things up. You're like, oh, this is so appropriate. No, I think you should change it to this word much better. And then the author gets reviled.
Well, it's kind of like taking a child and teaching them the wrong words for everything.
Right.
Which would be
Yeah, you don't want to
devilishly
upset your
fun.
sensitivity reader, because they can really do some damage to your career, right?
Definitely. So, Jason, I wanted to talk about a little bit, because I've watched a few of your snap judgments,
Oh, yeah.
which are so fun and so helpful.
Oh, thank you.
I love them. So for people who don't know, it's how often do you do them? Every few months?
Every 3 months, yeah.
So every 3 months, Jason and Leslie
Connor.
and then a guest editor get together, and they read up to 250 words of the start of a story. And each of the editors raises their hand at the moment where they would have stopped reading the story if it had been submitted to them. And then they chat about why. And it's so interesting. I definitely pick up things every time,
Yeah.
I love it.
Have you been brave enough to submit something to the panel?
God, no. I've thought about it recently. I'm like, oh, I should do that at some point, but I haven't yet. No.
That sounds great. How do you submit to the panel?
Well, you can go out to apex-magazine.com, go to our blog, and I think one of our most recent blogs is an announcement saying that we're taking submissions for the next Snap Judgment.
Oh, okay.
We
And
usually
by the way, writers, it's anonymous, so only
Yeah.
you know who you are.
Only you
Yeah.
know what horrible, horrible things they are saying about your story. Only you will want to go
They're
and
not,
hide
they're all
under
nice.
the.
Right, they're all
Also,
helpful once
the-
you know.
Sorry. Also, the editors, we never find out who wrote the excerpts.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
completely blind except for the one person, usually the person producing it behind the scenes.
What if you have you ever got a story, or do you take a story that you would actually accept?
Yeah, we've had all kinds of outstanding first 250-word submissions. And yeah, we're always very encouraging to those and be like, hey, we're hoping you submitted this one. This has got a great start.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
fun. It's such a great thing for writers. It really
That
is helpful.
link, the link to Snap Judgment will be in the description.
There you go,
Hello.
the description box below. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's very entertaining and very educational. I take things away each time, so I look forward to the next one, which is I think in March, right?
Yeah, it's coming up. You mentioned earlier that I occasionally write some short stories myself. I'm not sure I would have the courage to submit my first 250 words of like what I think is my strongest work to a panel like that. So
Yeah.
we get 30 or 40 for every Snap Judgment, and I'm just blown away by the courage of writers who are brave enough to do it for the education of
So
not just
when you-
themselves but for everyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just curious, so you get these submitted to you, do you then go through and choose the ones you're gonna do on the panel?
The
or is it
producer
just-
does that. He or she will always pick the ones that they feel are most will get the most commentary from the panel and will be of most interest to viewers. The editors aren't involved in that at all.
And about how
Yeah.
many do you do?
We get through 10 or 12 in an hour and a half.
Yeah, really, really worthwhile.
Very neat.
Very-
So if you
No,
had a piece of advice to give your younger self at whatever age you like, what would it be?
Oh wow. Okay. This is a silly one, but it's one I was thinking about yesterday, as a matter of fact, and was talking to my kids about it. So back in the early 90s, I was a huge gaming nerd, go figure. I had an original Nintendo with the Robbie robot and like a pad that you could run on and do track and field games with. I would say, young Jason, don't sell that stuff because it's going to be worth a fortune now. I'm not. I don't. I feel like maybe you were looking for like a more intellectual.
Oh,
no,
no. In fact, it's funny because we had one, he's a scientist actually, and is starting a museum, and his piece of advice is never throw anything away.
Yeah,
that's right.
in general, I used to play Magic the Gathering, and I was on board when that game first came out, right around the beta. So I think second set, and like there are cards in that set that are worth thousands of dollars now, tens of thousands that I had in and sold for a couple $100 back in like 2003 when I quit. So hold on
then
to
storage is an issue for most of us. So. Before we started, we were chatting with you and we heard that you have a Kickstarter about to open up. Can you tell us about that and what it's for?
And there
Yeah,
will be links
so
below.
Yes, I think it
yes,
opens today.
it's called Robotic Ambitions: Stories of Mechanical Sentience. It actually was not inspired by ChatGPT or the AI art conversations that what's going on prior to ChatGPT. Leslie, Connor, and I came up with this about 6 months ago, just prior to all that. It's been a very popular theme in the magazine for years and years, and it's one that I enjoy greatly. So we decided, okay, let's do this anthology, and then all this AI and chat GPT stuff came out, and I'm hoping, that the zeitgeist interest in those technologies will kind of rub off on this anthology and help make it successful. Because we are certainly looking for work that addresses, humanity's response to like conscious constructs.
Have you held has it been open for submissions, or is it going to be once this opens?
So the Kickstarter starts on February 21st, and we plan to open to general submissions in early March, about midway through the Kickstarter. The reason that we're waiting a couple weeks is we want to see, usually by the midway point, you can tell if the Kickstarter is going to fund or not. Hopefully we'll be funded by then. If not, and it looks like that will be funded, we'll open up. But otherwise, in the sad case that it looks like we're not going to fund, we probably won't open. But I'm going to be optimistic and say, yeah, early March is when.
Have you run a lot of Kickstarters, and usually do they fund? I mean,
yeah, I have done 5 Kickstarter projects. 4 have been extremely successful. There was one that flopped. People want me to blame the COVID thing that happened, a few years ago, because we launched that Kickstarter 2 months after everything shut down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In retrospect, perhaps we should have waited, but we were hoping it could serve as like a distraction for people, but we ended up falling far short of our goal. So I've tasted success and failure on the Kickstarter circuit.
sounds like more
Jason,
success though.
Yeah, I have been fortunate that we have chosen anthology themes that people have had a lot of interest in supporting. Our last one was a print edition of the first year of our Apex magazine relaunch. It was called Apex Magazine 2021.
And you have a track record. So, I mean, it's not like, pouring money into the void of someone who says they're going to do something. You have a record. What are the books on the desk behind you? Are those a couple of your anthologies, the ones right to your left?
Oh, well, this one is Apex Magazine 2021.
Oh, okay. It's the one you were just mentioning. Is it still available?
Yeah, it's still our most recent release. It's available at apexbookcompany.com, Amazon, all the usual places. And
We can put a link for that below too.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Cool. I want to get that.
has 48 stories. So basically everything that we published on apex-magazine.com in 2021.
When did Apex launch?
The business incorporated in December 2004. We produced our very first product, which was issue 1 of Apex Science Fiction and Horror Digest in March of 2015.
Wow. And I'm sorry, I jumped the gun, so we didn't see the second book. Is the second book one of Apex's as well, or just something else?
Yeah, this is so we had a bit of a milestone last year. This book, Plague Birds by Jason Sanford, was nominated for the Nebula Award for Best Novel and for the Philip K. Dick Award for Best Sci-Fi Novel published in paperback, which are 2 of the bigger awards in the business. And we were very happy for Jason, the author, and for ourselves.
And it's a great novel. I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, really.
We're hoping to have, and Plague Birds actually would kind of fit right in with robotic ambitions, right? Because you got this like sentient AI that takes control of a human body, and they become judge, jury, and executioner in like a far future Earth.
Yeah, it's a cool story. Really
and we
good.
actually hope to have a Sanford story in Robotic Ambitions set in the Plague Birds universe.
Oh, that'd be cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I happened to find it. Maybe because it was on a list of maybe the nomination. I don't remember why it crossed my
Lots of
desk
people
and why I ended up reading it, but I did.
will read the award nominated books.
It was good.
So that's great. Well, wow, this has been really, really fun talking about, zeitgeist and editing and orange cats. And I want to thank our producer, Maria Korolov. I don't know what's with my mouth today. I was like, somewhere between. Maria Korolov, thank you very much. We could not do it without you. And we always end with the best thing we learned this week. So I learned a lot of good things, but today I'm going to share with you, and there will be a link below. It's called Free the Ocean Products. And they do all these products for your toiletry or bathroom, toothbrushes, a whole bunch of range. They don't use any plastic in their production, or when they send it to you, they don't use any plastic in the packaging. I can't talk today. And I know I can. And every time you buy from them, they remove a piece of trash from the ocean. So
just one?
Yeah. So you have to buy a lot of stuff if you want to clean the ocean. You just got to empty your bank account. And I know it's always like one piece. Come on. But it is pretty cool. And so I will have a link on that below where you can check them out if you want.
Cool. And I was, as I always do, and you all know, I read every Saturday. I sit down and try to find something good, because God knows, nothing organically seems to come during the week. I was reading this morning about this company called, let me get their name right, Meati, MEATI, who is developed and producing meat-like products that really look like chicken and steak, and the product looks like that are made out of mushroom roots. So they're doing it with mycelium, which is cool because Elizabeth and I love mycelium. So but they produce it, it's rapid, they can produce a ton of it. Sounds really interesting and really like a future wave to follow. So,
and it's Meati,
MEATI. And now it is Jason's turn to share something good or funny or weird.
Okay, so I've been watching The Last of Us on HBO, and the fungal zombies are really creepy.
Mhm.
But I read this article, it was in Nature or Wired or something, that reassured me, said, calm down. There is no way that cordyceps fungus will start doing to humans what it does to ants, due to our body temperature.
So far.
So far, because, you know, not just cordyceps, but mycelium is learning to colonize places it couldn't as the
Yeah.
temperature is rising. Just, you know.
If I could have, I would ask the expert. I was like, what's the odds of there being some kind of fast mutation? Because, you know, these funguses, they're adaptable, right? And but this is supposed to be good news. So the good news is, as presented in that show, we don't have to worry about anything.
Thank goodness.
Okay. One thing not to keep you up at night, cordyceps taking over your brain and turning you into a zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be misery.
That would be- Just back to money problems. You know, that keep you up at night. Simple. Anyway, well, thank you so much for joining us, Jason. And we always like to point out that MetaStellar magazine publishes fantasy, science fiction, and horror. We're a speculative fiction magazine, and there's a link below for that, as well as all the other links. And if you'd like to help us, you can join in and make a donation on our Patreon page, and all of the money goes to the writers. So we pay for original fiction, and that's where any of that money goes. And thank you again, everyone else, for joining us as well. And Jason, thank you. It was really fun.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this. Maybe I'll come back sometime and have like good news to share.
Oh, I hope so.
We would love that. So, okay, well, thanks everyone. I guess we're very quietly saying goodbye today.
At least saying goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.